Hey there, I'm Tori Soar, and welcome to another Miraculous Season 6 review. Today we will be covering episode 14, Grendiaper. This episode is setting up a potential arc for Zoe that I think could be really interesting, which is a much needed development for Zoe since so much of what they've done with her has either been directly tied to Chloé or gone unacknowledged in the future. Spoiler warning for Miraculous Season 6 episode 14, Grendiaper. Let's get into it. Grendiaper is centered around Zoe's strong sense of justice, specifically for bullies, and we get a really good sense of this conviction by seeing her reaction to everyone's favorite chopped trio. We were introduced to Ray at the end of Daddy Cop, where he threatens to expose Zoe for who she was back in New York, which is also referenced in Vampagami when Ray stops Zoe from standing up for Prem. This blackmail continues into Grendiaper, where we are repeatedly shown instances of Ray, Loic, and Nelson being nasty to Zoe's friends and classmates, and Ray swooping in to threaten her once again.
Don't do it, cockroach. Unless you want everyone to find out what you did in New York City.
We still don't know what exactly Ray is referring to here, but the assumption is that she acted as a bully or had otherwise bad behavior based on Zoe hesitating at Sabrina calling her a great girl in Daddy Cop, the general implication that Zoe has actions to be ashamed of that reflect on her character, and the way she references putting on an act in her introductory episode.
Then I found myself acting all the time, playing these different roles, trying to please everyone until I couldn't do it anymore. I just want to be accepted for being me, the real me.
I'm not sure when we'll get more insight into Zoe's New York era and what exactly Ray is blackmailing her with, but I am very curious what that's gonna look like when it does eventually come to light for us as viewers. The bullies being featured here also introduced us to Ray's dad, who I am so sure has to be part of the kingdom. I was trying to discern what the symbols on his ring and jacket were, but we didn't really get a good look at them. However, the crest kind of looks like it could be the scepter that we see in the kingdom. I tried to figure out if their voices were the same, but I don't think they are. It sounds like Mr. Punya is voiced by Christopher Smith, who is the voice of Roger, Tom, Noe, and more, while the scepter doesn't really sound like that, so I don't think it's likely they are the same person.
I didn't think you had it in you to be a leader, but you're finally starting to show real potential, son.
We here all know that Gabriel Agreste was monarch.
I think the crest on Mr. Punya's chest is more likely a lion, with the top of it being a three-pointed crown, since Ray's jacket has a lion waving a flag with that same crown. So matching him to a specific kingdom symbol may be off the table for now. However, this man is built for being part of the kingdom. A rich, pompous asshole with no morals, he'd fit right in. I also realized this means Ray's name is Ray Punya, which is basically the word repugnant, and that is the perfect word to describe him. In general, my opinion of the Bullicule is the opinion I have for the vast majority of bully characters, and it's that I find them to be pretty boring. It's one of my least favorite character archetypes because it's usually a very flat characterization, where a character is just mean for the sake of having an antagonistic force, as opposed to a villain or more compelling antagonist with interesting motivations and methods. The few things that make the trio somewhat more interesting are number one, their obsession with breaking up couples, because that's such an absurdly specific goal to have, and two is this plotline with Zoe, but that more specifically has to do with Zoe's backstory and learning more about her. I really do not care about Ray specifically. When did Cat Noir fall over? This mean for the sake of being mean archetype is exactly why I hate post-season 3 Chloé so much, because she's sapped of absolutely everything that made her an interesting character. I do have a lot of thoughts when it comes to Zoe in this episode and how it relates to the way Chloé was handled, but I want to keep that larger discussion of Chloé confined to one section of this video, because I don't want to bring her up repeatedly in an episode that only features her for 5 seconds at the start. Speaking of, we get a little cameo of Chloé at the start of this episode mocking her former best friend slash minion's new look, just as a reminder of her existence and that she's insufferable as ever.
Can you believe this new look? Ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous.
I will say, as much as Chloé is in the wrong for bullying Sabrina on social media because of her looks, she's not incorrect. Sabrina looks chopped as hell. I think she by far has the ugliest design in season 6, but like I've mentioned in other videos, I don't mind it that much because she is so much more confident and happy with herself, and I do think the design does suit her personality. It's also absolutely adorable the way Sabrina's new friends stand up for her and post pictures and videos in support of her. I love how everyone is taking normal, cute pictures with her. Meanwhile, Adrian is making this clickbait thumbnail face. It's a really sweet moment showcasing Sabrina's new circle of friends embracing her for who she is, reflected by her new look. Does that change the fact that I think it looks ugly? Absolutely not. And I think it's hilarious that Chloé is giving Sabrina shit for her new outfit, when I think Chloe's redesign looks chopped as well, so she really shouldn't be talking. After witnessing several instances of bullying from the Chopped trio, Chloé, and a few other Parisians, Zoe takes it upon herself to teach them a lesson and accidentally transforms into this new form called Fury. I think this is such a neat use of an alternate miraculous form, where Zoe using her miraculous for revenge causes her to transform into an entirely different identity. It does really bother me that Pollen's explanation for this change is it's because Zoe was having a particularly dark day and
Your suit can change depending on your emotional state.
I'm sorry, if a miraculous holder's suit can change drastically based on something as flippant as emotional state, Cat Noir and especially Ladybug would have a different suit every other day because Marinette's emotions are all over the place. The explanation that makes more sense is the one that's already been established through previous instances like Rena Furtive and Catwalker. Rena Furtive's appearance changed because she was undercover, and Catwalker was an alternate identity intentionally forged by Adrian. Fury is kind of a mix of the two, where her purpose with the miraculous as well as her vengeful personality came to the forefront and caused her suit to change. With this new form, Zoe punishes people that she's seen doing wrong all day, like dropping the bullicule onto an endless roller coaster or trapping this bus driver with a panther. Which, side note, what is the bus driver's deal? He's not only ableist and intentionally drives away from a wheelchair user, but for some reason is like, nah, I'm not gonna let Max off this bus, I'm going home. This man needs to be fired. But anyway, Fury punishes these wrongdoers as she sees fit, which not only catches the attention of other Miraculars, but leads a boy to be akumatized after she publicly humiliates him. I think Grendiaper's akumatization is really fun and feels a lot like a classic Miraculous villain fight. He feels like a Gigantitan if he was a genuine threat and not just a giant baby, and the theming of Grendiaper's design and powers are really well done. He has obviously baby-related details on his mech like the pacifier and diaper, but I also love the way his upper arms and legs look like those ring stack toys. There's a fun range of powers at his disposal as well, from rattle missiles to laser eyes to this loud cry that pushes the heroes and projectiles away. It makes the fight really fun to watch because it requires the Miraculars to get creative with their powers. We get to see Cat Noir's staff split into these two spinning projectiles, which is really neat, and Pegasus continues to carry like he does in every fight. The way he's constantly using his portals to do damage control in every episode he's featured in needs to be recognized, because every time I hear him frantically yell "Voyage," I'm reminded of what an absolute goat he is. The solution to defeating Grendiaper, requiring Ladybug to use her miraculous Ladybug power to investigate the phone they destroyed, thinking it held the Akuma, is a great example of the classic Akuma problem solving paired with the new unlimited miraculous powers that makes the fights in Season 6 so enjoyable. Once Grendiaper is defeated, the Miraculars scold Sam for his behavior while also encouraging him to do better than harassing babies, while Vesperia wonders,
Are we gonna let him get away with it?
and Ladybug asks her in return,
Would you rather we did the same thing to him as the mysterious person who harasses people?
Evidently, yes, she would. The fact that Vesperia doesn't come clean about being the masked person while the Miraculars are discussing them, paired with Ladybug saying,
We're gonna have to be more cautious than ever.
leads me to believe that we will see Fury again and this storyline is not resolved, which I'm looking forward to as a further exploration of Zoe and her motivations. Before going on her little revenge spree, Vesperia calls Ladybug to ask her for advice on how to deal with bad people, and I will say, the way Zoe whines and talks like a toddler in this scene is absolutely aggravating to me.
You step in to keep them from being harmful. What if they come back again after that? Then you stop them again. What if they just keep wanting to come back and be bad?
Girl, you are in your teens. Why are you acting a decade younger? The scene also reminded me of a couple of Vesperia redesign choices that I really don't like, such as the double side bangs instead of the single black ones, as well as this new mask design that I cannot stand. I hate the way the black trails down from her under eyes towards her nose without connecting across. It turns the yellow part of her mask into this really weird shape. Minor complaints aside, I otherwise really like this scene because it's a great reflection of Zoe's inner conflict of wanting to do the right thing, but also worrying about going too far, but also still wanting to follow through with her vengeance. It's a complexity that I think is a really nice exploration for Zoe, and very welcome, when so much of her characterization is just, look at how much nicer she is than Chloe, or has otherwise been forgotten about. Like, Zoe being an actress was only really relevant in her introductory episodes from Season 4, Kitty Noir was fun, but also felt so random and was never addressed again, and her crush on Marinette was pretty immediately forgotten in the same way Nino and Nathaniel's crushes on her were only relevant in the episodes that they existed. Because Fury was foreshadowed in Sleeping Siren and the end of Grendiaper leaves things a bit open-ended as to whether we'll see her again, I'm hoping this is something that continues to be a relevant arc. But as is the case with every time Zoe gets some focus, I can't help but wonder what it would be like if Chloe was in her place.
Boo,
I know.
Stage.
On today's episode of Try Not to Make Everything Zoe Does About Chloe but Failing Miserably, we need to talk about the way Grendiaper emphasizes Zoe making morally questionable decisions, because it feels like yet another checkbox in the list of things that would have been a compelling exploration for Chloe if she hadn't been replaced. I'm putting the same disclaimer here that I will put in my Chloe video when it comes to discussing Zoe. This is by no means an indictment against Zoe, nor any sort of claim that Zoe should be written off the show so Chloe can come back, because that would be a far worse writing choice than all of the ways Chloe has been fumbled as a character, and I really enjoy Zoe now that we have her. However, because Zoe exists to replace Chloe, a fact that we are repeatedly reminded of, it's nearly impossible to not consider what Chloe's story could have looked like if she had the opportunity to be in Zoe's shoes. So to my lovely Zoe fans, please drop the pitchforks. I still think she is a delightful character. The biggest thing that stands out to me as Chloe adjacent is the whole Zoe was a different person in New York storyline, because the idea of Zoe previously doing bad things as a front for external approval is exactly the way Chloe was written in season 2. It's made very clear in the Queen's Battle episodes that Chloe acts the way she does to specifically seek approval from her mother. That's why this whole time she's festered into a spoiled, rotten brat.
I'm exceptional too!
The only exceptional thing about you, my dear, is your mother.
This is also because of her neglectful piece of shit father, but I'll come back to him. Although we don't specifically know who Zoe's acting in New York was for, considering she was living with Audrey, it is likely that Audrey was the biggest influence on her behavior. I mean, the way Zoe immediately snaps into behaving like Chloe when with her mother's family feels like another indication that this specific act is one she adopted because of her mother. And so, Zoe being framed as a good person that used to do bad things to seek approval is one of many examples of Zoe being Chloe but good. Obviously, the whole blackmail angle with Ray wouldn't exist if Grendiaper was a post-redemption Chloe story, but like I said before, I don't find Ray or bully characters in general to be particularly interesting, so in this Chloe redemption AU I'm imagining here, I'm perfectly okay with him being less relevant. Speaking of bullies, I think Chloe as Fury could be such an interesting arc for her. Ex-bully gets revenge on other bullies to try and whip them into shape, I think could have been a really interesting exploration of Chloe post-redemption and the ways in which she is still imperfect. I mean, Zoe in this episode abuses the Be Miraculous in a similar way to Chloe in Queen Wasp. Both of them deliberately put civilians in danger for their own means, and while Chloe did it for the sense of glory with saving the day and Zoe did it to teach bad people a lesson, at least Chloe never actually wanted people to be hurt, while Zoe is making the deliberate choice to torment these people. That is of course not to say that Chloe intentionally causing an accident to play hero is better by any means, it's definitely worse in certain aspects, but both instances reflect a personal motivation, be it glory or revenge, infringing on a moral compass and putting civilians in danger. If we existed in a universe where Chloe has made amends and is on the path of good, I think a regression like this could be a very compelling exploration of the ways in which she is still flawed, especially because Fury uses her powers to be a bully. The way she dresses a boy clearly younger than her up like a baby to publicly humiliate him is bullying, and her abusing the Be Miraculous to do so makes it so much worse. Chloe regressing to bullying behavior, even to target other bullies, could have been a neat exploration of her growth and the way it takes a lot of work to change how you think and act. The lesson that Grendiaper is teaching in the first place is that
You don't teach people to be kind by hurting them back.
but through education and being taught to do better, which is exactly what Chloe's journey would have been in this scenario. The episode's lesson would be enhanced by reminding Chloe that she was once like those she punished, and it was only by being treated with care and helping her learn to be better that she was able to change into someone that was deserving of her miraculous. Obviously, the circumstances surrounding Chloe holding the Be Miraculous would have to be different because of Queen Bee's identity being public knowledge. But another thing Grendiaper reminds us of is that a miraculous holder's appearance can change depending on things like intention or personality. If Chloe became a better person, she could theoretically hold the Be Miraculous Angeles once more as a new hero identity where she can remain completely anonymous. The last thing I want to talk about from Grendiaper that I will absolutely rant about again in my Chloé video is how much I hate Andre Bourgeois. They treat his neglectful pushover parenting style as him being a victim of his daughter, when in reality it's him being a terrible father. Grow a fucking spine, Andre. A big reason why your daughter is such a nightmare is your enabling behavior. Obviously there is the influence of his wife, and she is definitely abusive to him as well, but this man stood idly by as his daughter took after his abusive wife, and when he finally comes to his senses, the conclusion isn't that he wasn't a good enough father to Chloé and failed her. No, it's that Chloé also abused him, and it's super noble and brave of him to free himself from that abuse by abandoning her with her abusive mother. And so when we look at all of that, and then turn to him now having a loving, fatherly relationship with his stepdaughter Zoe, a relationship he could have fostered with his own daughter if he wasn't a pussy-ass bitch. It's just another reminder of what could have been, Chloé having an actual father as opposed to a neglectful enabler, both of them now free from the abusive piece of shit that is Andre Bourgeois. This obviously would not excuse Andre being such a bad father previously, but at least he would be trying to make up for it as opposed to him, once again, abandoning his daughter and replacing her with her half-sister. All of this is to say, if we did live in a universe where Chloé got a redemption story all those years ago, I don't think things would have unfolded such that we would still have Grendiaper as an episode, since the show's entire narrative would be altered. However, I do think seeing the similarities to Chloé and how a story like this could have been really compelling for her is another fantastic example of the ways in which Zoe is a manifestation of Chloé but good. Again, I do really enjoy Zoe as a character, and I really like the Fury storyline, but when a character exists to replace another, I can't help but come back to all of those what-ifs where Zoe never needed to be created in the first place. That does it for this video. How did y'all like Grendiaper, and are you enjoying Fury so far? Let me know. I'm currently planning to film reaction videos to the season 6 finale whenever that does end up coming out, and as I alluded to in this video, I am eventually planning to make a video dedicated to analyzing Chloé Bourgeois and the ways in which she was mishandled. So if you're interested in either of those videos or more season 6 reviews, make sure to subscribe to catch those when they come out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like and hype if you did. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time.